Hi, welcome to BashaniRadio.com and iHeart Worldwide Radio. You are now tuned into Entrepreneur Empowered. I'm your host, Attorney Sid Pedinti, aka the Entrepreneur's Attorney. Imagine a world where you can get the exact answers that you need, where you can find the unbiased information that you seek, where you can gain the exact game-changing solutions that you desire, where you can connect with individuals who have the answers to unleash your business, the answers that unleash your talents, your passions, and your gifts. A world where we can work as a collaborative unit, where we can ask a question and someone has the answer, where we can connect directly with that person and solve that particular problem in real time, where we learn something new and innovative every single day, where we use that newly acquired knowledge immediately. We use it in our lives. We use it in our businesses. We use it to change our customers' lives in a positive way, directly, indirectly, even virtually. A world where people turn ideas and products into services, even softwares, apps, and technologies. Technologies that can empower people, technologies that can connect people, connect ideas, connect thoughts and talents, connect information, a connection of our consciousness. The information that we see, hear, and read every day affects how we make conscious decisions in our lives and in our businesses. Sorting real from fake information has become ever more challenging. So we need a world where entrepreneurs can have direct access to the right information, the right softwares, the right technologies, and the right people. We need a world where we can be aware, where we see things as they are, without the filters, without the suggestions, where we can learn concepts that are practical and applicable. It's time to step up and take charge. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your finances. Take charge of your business. We're creating that world where you can travel anywhere, where you can live anywhere. A community that fosters passion and innovation. A community where we build our legacies while having fun. Where you can help your clients and your customers with a click of a few simple buttons. Where you can manage a multi-million-dollar firm with a little switch on your phone that says turn on. A world where our businesses are an extension of us, of our talents, of our thoughts, of our ideas. After all, that's what our businesses are. A legal entity that captures our imagination, a vessel that turns our ideas into products and services. So imagine a world where every business decision is made with 100% precision, so that every dollar spent can return with abundance. That's the world we'd like to create. That's the reason why I'm describing all this to you. It's because entrepreneurship has become crazy. There are too many things going on. There is too much noise in the marketplace. Look, business ownership is tough. I don't need to tell you that. You already know that. It's tough to stay competitive at every stage of growth, let alone trying to operate a multi-million-dollar brand. So imagine the world where every question is answered, where every answer is solved, where every template has been made for immediate deployment. That's what we're building. That's what we invite you to be a part of. A community where we can transform lives and make a ton of money by doing that. A community of problem solvers working together to solve real life-changing problems. No fancy theories, only real-world practical education. That is what entrepreneurship looks like in the new era. A business that's part of a lifestyle. A business that allows us to express ourselves freely. A business that enables us to establish our legacy. No more foolish decisions. No more rash choices. No more questions left unanswered. We're here to build that world with you, for you, alongside you. That's what empowerment is. Having the ability to make conscious, rational, calculated decisions where we can predict the outcomes, mitigate potential risks, and invent new ways to monetize our knowledge. The process of empowerment involves three particular steps. The first step is realization. The realization that you need to take charge. The realization that you need to learn more. The realization that you need to become irreplaceable and indispensable in the marketplace. The second step involves learning and applying. I say learning and applying because they are two separate concepts. So, learning new concepts and tactics, learning new information and strategies, and lastly, applying that knowledge, information, or strategies to ensure that it's the right one. The third step involves empowering others, using your knowledge to impact another's life, using your skills to change somebody else's life, using your talents to empower others. So, if you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just starting out or even if you've been extremely experienced and have a lot of success, we'd love to have you join us. We're creating this community for entrepreneurs like you across the globe. And right now, we're giving entrepreneurs like you 100% full access. I'm talking about full access to the right knowledge, the right education, the right groups, the right templates, the right checklists, and even the right experts who can help you make every decision in real time. It's time to get empowered. Let's share our stories. Let's share our wins and losses. Let's share our knowledge. Let's create products and services together. Let's solve problems in real time. If you have an entrepreneurial experience or subject matter expertise, we'd love to hear from you. We need you to share your knowledge. We need you to share your message with others. We need you to be ready to transform more lives. We need you to be available to answer questions in real time. After all, that's what empowerment is, right? Questions about business strategy, questions about legal strategy, questions about marketing strategy, about technology, about profitability, about innovation, about branding, about artificial intelligence, about big data, about sales processes and marketing funnels. Are you ready to get empowered? Are you ready to empower others? Look, at this point, if you're still listening and you have a phone or a computer around you, I'd like you to pull up Facebook or LinkedIn and go ahead and join the free groups that we've put together for you. We've even created an online virtual community on WhatsApp. At the end of the day, empowerment happens when you have direct access, and that's exactly what we intend to give you. Direct access to the knowledge, the strategies, the tools, the templates, the checklists, and even the right connections that can help you make the right decision. So go ahead, pull up your phone, go onto the Facebook app, and look up Entrepreneur Empowered and join the community. It's 100% free to join. We've even created this on LinkedIn so that you have the opportunity to directly connect with the right subject matter experts that can help you in your business. We've even created a WhatsApp group for the reason that you have direct connection again and the phone number of the person that can help you make the right decision. So as you're doing this, let me tell you, we want to hear from you. I want to know who you are. We want to know what your biggest challenges are in your business. What are the biggest challenges that you face right now in your marketing, in your branding, in the legal strategies that impact your business? Who do you work with? What problems do you solve? What products, services, or technologies have you created? Do you have any new ideas that you haven't monetized? Do you think your ideas are worth something? Can they change lives? If so, how? Will someone go to bed at night today thinking about how blessed they are that they met you because you solved a real problem for them? You provided an actual solution, a solution that educated them, a solution that changed them, a solution that reduced potential risks from all sides, a solution that enabled them to get bigger contracts and more revenue. These are the things that we want you to create, that we want you to provide. You are a game changer, an entrepreneur with a purpose. Am I right? It's time for you to get empowered so you can dream bigger. You can act bigger. You can grow bigger. It's time to push your limits and accomplish things that you never thought were possible. Let me assure you, it's absolutely possible. Whatever your business, entrepreneurial, or even personal goals are, it's possible. Entrepreneur Empowered is about pushing your limits. It's about testing yourself to see if you can reach your full potential. Whatever the challenges are, we're going to be here to solve these things in real time with you, alongside you, and for you. So far, I hope what I've described to you makes a lot of sense. I hope this message resonates with you. I'm hoping that you feel good after hearing these things that I'm describing, because change is about to happen. There's no reason why only a few lucky entrepreneurs who have figured out the marketing game or some of the game, the solution, right? Who have figured out these solutions should be managing multi-million-dollar businesses when the majority of business owners out there are still shutting down within 3 to 5 years of inception. The stats are alarming. 75% of businesses disappear within 15 years of opening. So I'm creating a community where you can get direct access to the right information, the right templates, the right connections who can empower you in real time. So once again, pull up your phone or your computer, go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook, and join Entrepreneur Empowered so that we can do this together. We can empower ourselves. So with that, let me go ahead and introduce you to the next segment of the show. It's the first step of the empowerment process that I described to you earlier, realization. I'm going to walk you through a detailed set of questions that relate to your business and legal strategy. And as I walk you through these different topics, I want you to pull out a pen so that we can help you address some of these things in real time. As I walk you through these questions, which, by the way, are real questions that we have solved for our customers, for our clients, for entrepreneurs over the last 12 years, thousands of times. These are actual strategies and actual questions that have been posed to us, that we have formulated solutions for, that we have implemented, and help these entrepreneurs make decisions that are accurate, that are well thought out, and that are informed. So you see, entrepreneurs generally think that seeking legal advice is very expensive. And because of this myth, a lot of times they take decisions on their own. Now, having managed a bankruptcy firm for over 12 years, I can tell you that small mistakes in your business can have major financial consequences. So think about the decisions that you have executed in your business so far, right from the start. And as I walk you through this checklist, through these set of questions, through these different strategies and topics, I want you to think about the decisions that you've already made or that you're about to engage or make in your business, and how have they impacted your business, or how thoughtful and informed were you while making these decisions? Are you 100% sure that you took the right strategic decisions? Did you miss something? Are your assets and intellectual property safe? Did you predict and mitigate the risks from all sides of the table? Okay, so let's go ahead and walk you through these questions so that you can conduct a thorough self-check in your own business. So I'll give you a minute or so as you can pull up a piece of paper and take a list of some of these things as we go down. We're going to cover from the basics. So let's start with your business name and your business logo. Here's a question. Is it registered? Have you conducted a thorough search online on Google and other places to ensure no one else is using your name, your logo, or your catchphrase? These involve trademarks, the three things I've described to you: your name, your logo, and your catchphrase. So, did you trademark your business name and logo so it's safe from competitors or copycats? Did you go on to the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office website that allows you to search for a trademark? It's a 100% free resource that you as the entrepreneur should have done when you open your business to ensure that your name, your logo, and your catchphrase is original and not being used by somebody else. So did you trademark your business name and logo to ensure it's safe? What are your copyrights or patents, right? What about those in your brand, if you have any? Let me ask you about your website URL. Is your URL name safe? Does it infringe upon somebody else's registered trademarks or somebody else's copyrights? Or does it cause confusion in the marketplace with someone else who's using a similar name as yours? Right? These are the things I want you to think about when it pertains to your business name or your business logo. Okay? All right, let's move on. Next one, intellectual property. Now, as a side note on intellectual property, before I go ahead and ask you 5 questions to help you self-evaluate, let me quickly break down the 4 types of intellectual property out there. So let's start with the first one. What is intellectual property itself? If you break down the word, intellect means something created from the mind. It's the mind. And property, as you know, is something that has value, that can be given ownership rights, that can be traded among parties. So intellectual property is the property that's a creation of the mind that can be given specific value and that can be traded, right? So the 4 types of intellectual property that exist right now, they're recognized in the United States. The first one are patents. Patents come in 2 types. There's a design patent as well as a utility patent. A design patent relates to a specific design or a packaging. Think about the Coca-Cola bottle shape. That's a patented design that Coca-Cola has. Nobody else can use it. The second one relates to utility. Utility-based patents are based on the benefit that particular product or service or software can make out there, right? So here you want to think for things like the light bulb or actual discoveries that are made which enhance your life in some way. The second one is about trademarks. Again, if you break up the word trademarks, it's a mark that you use in trade. Does that make sense? Your logo, your catchphrase, as well as your business name. These are unique identifiers in the marketplace so that there's no confusion where a particular good or service came from. So that's what a trademark is, a mark that's used in trade. So think about what you have, right? Is it unique enough that it causes no confusion in the marketplace? The third one relates to copyrights. Again, if you break the word, it's the right to copy somebody else's work, right? So an original piece of work in any tangible form, right? Any permanent form. So for example, the audio that you're hearing on the show, or if you're watching this on a video, the content that you see in front of you, the voice, my voice, and giving you the information of all this content. These are expressions of a particular idea, right? All this is original work that I created, that I thought of, that I'm expressing to you. This is my copyrighted work. So if you want to use anything that you see here, or any of the catchphrases I've come up with, or the content that you see in front of you on the template, this is copyrighted work. You need my express permission to use this, right? So that's the right to use somebody else's copy. And the last form of intellectual property are called trade secrets. This is something the United States PTO recognized recently. And what trade secrets are really, if you break the word down, it's a secret that you use in the course of your trade. So these can be anything, really. Any particular secret or idea or anything that you value, that you have created, that gives you a competitive advantage in your business can be considered a trade secret. So anything from your customer identities, customer lists, vendor, marketer, manufacturer identities, the business and marketing plans you've developed, the particular insights into an industry that you have gained or acquired, special knowledge that you might possess about a specific process or technology or about an industry. These are secrets, so to speak, that give you a competitive advantage in the marketplace or somebody else. So that's what a trade secret is. So with that said, let's dive into the questions here. What are the intellectual properties that you have, right? So do you have a product name or a service name that helps you stand apart in the market? Is it registered and protected as a patent or as a trademark or as a copyright? Is it reflected in contracts and agreements as a trade secret that you can protect? Did you conduct a complete search of your state's intellectual property database? Every state, or at least most states, have their own separate intellectual property database, a filing office where you can file a trademark or a copyright. So did you take the time to search those and ensure that your business name or your copyrights or your patents are in fact safe and in fact not being used out there in the marketplace? What about a United States-wide search on the USPTO, as I just described, United States Patent and Trademark Office? Go look it up on Google. You'll see the link, and you'll see all the information related to patents and trademarks in there. Now, keep in mind that the copyrights are actually managed and regulated by a different body, which is the United States Copyright Office. So make sure you go on there and check it out as well. How about an international search with the World Intellectual Property Organization, which has a database of, again, these intellectual properties? Here's a question for you. Do you know what your intellectual property is actually worth, right? If you have a business name, if you have concepts, if you have a patent, a trademark, or copyrights, or even trade secrets, how do you ascertain the value of these in your business? And when you're thinking about your business, here's a question for you. If an investor or somebody else approached you to sell a business right now, sell your business to them, how would you value your business? Is it based on revenue? Is it based on intellectual property that you possess? Is it based on existing contracts that you can develop, right? It's probably a combination of these factors. Many firms or many entrepreneurs think it's strictly based on revenue, but I can assure you that intellectual property has a lot of value, and you'll be surprised what your intellectual property is worth if you jump on to the World Intellectual Property Organization, who have broken down what the value of each of these assets actually are, each of these intellectual properties are. So think about that today and analyze what your intellectual property is worth. All right, moving on. Let's talk about business and professional licenses, right? Most industries have some sort of a regulatory body that regulates them. Now, I know in the marketing world, there's no such entity, and because of this, I find people make unwarranted claims. People have all kinds of information out there that you're inundated by on Facebook, on social media, on Google every day. And quite frankly, I think there needs to be a regulatory body that steps in, that manages some of these individuals, that manages these different industries, so there's some sort of an ethical as well as professional, basic standard that they have to comply with. So here's a bunch of questions related to business and professional licenses. Number one, did you in fact apply for a business license in your country, in the city, in the state, or in the county? The reason I ask you this is because like I said, on Facebook or on Google or on YouTube, you probably have come across marketers or coaches or strategists who display all kinds of messages, who are traveling all across the world, managing businesses, who hold workshops, and which you might have been invited to. Now, many of these people, I take the time to go search whether in fact it's a registered business. Are they legit? Are they doing this the right way? And I can assure you that most of them are not. In fact, I've, through my own discovery, found quite a few coaches and marketers who host these seminars have not even registered their business in the United States. They are from other countries like Australia and United Kingdom and Singapore. And they're here in Los Angeles hosting seminars that I've attended. And meanwhile, they haven't even registered the business. So these are some of the things you want to ask yourself, right? Are you operating the right way? Now, technically, it could be illegal what they're doing, right? The IRS, are they paying taxes on time? Did they get the right immigration status for them to be here and host these seminars, right? So if you're thinking about expanding your business, expanding your product line, if you have a software or an application, or you're in the service-based industry, I want you to consider these factors very seriously, and it's of critical importance, especially as entrepreneurship is becoming trickier. I see a lot of regulatory bodies who are about to step in and start regulating some of these industries, so you do not want to be caught off surprise. If you need a business license in another country, in your own country, in the state, in the county where you're from, go ahead and apply to it. Don't cheap out, as they say, when it comes to specific things. Now, here's another question. Did you apply for any industry-specific licenses or insurances that you have to have? Did you apply for what is called a DBA, a doing business as? If your business name is actually different from the one you registered. Many people have different business names who start operating it without even filing a different, what is called the DBA, which is required in most cases. So take the time to button up your company to make sure that the different licenses, the different areas of your business are, number one, in compliance with any regulatory, any government-related rules, because this is something you don't want to get stuck on later on. You may even have to close your business, and I don't think you want to do that. Do you have a separate bank account for your business payments and your transactions? Are you using your personal accounts for business-related transactions, right? If so, you probably want to separate them. Okay, so that's for business license and professional licenses. With that said, let's jump on to business formation. Okay, remember at this point we're still in the formation stages, what I've just described to you. So here's a bunch of questions related to the business formation. Number one, did you file the appropriate documents with the Secretary of State in your particular state? Right? If you have an LLC or an LLP or even a C Corp or an S Corp or a franchise, then you're mandated to go and apply for specific documentation with the Secretary of State. So make sure you do that. Next question. Did you apply for an EIN, an Employment Identification Number, with the IRS? If you have not, then you probably need to. If you're operating a business, there's business taxation. So figure out which legal structure is the right one for you and apply for the proper employment identification number under that legal structure with the IRS. The last thing you want is a bill or a lawsuit from the IRS claiming you're not paying business taxes when you're supposed to be. You know what they say, right? Don't mess with the IRS. So this is not something you want to mess around with. Here's another question. Do you accept online payments in your business? And if you do you have the proper online processing systems in place? Are they registered with the right name? Do the receipts show the right business entity once a customer or a client signs up? Do you have a secure internal database that stores your client data in a secured and unbreachable way? Right? If you're collecting personal information, especially in specific industries where information may be a bit more sensitive, make sure you comply with all the privacy-related and security-related policies so that you can button these things up and there is no risk later on. Here's another question. Do you have an accountant or an attorney to help you comply with all the tax or compliance-related filings in your business? If you have a business, I'm sure you heard the saying, you need a good attorney and you need a good accountant. These two are absolutely critical for any business, regardless of what size you are or which market you operate in. In my experience of directly having over 8,000 one-on-one private consultations with entrepreneurs, out of which we've successfully closed over 5,000 of those cases. After having done about 8,000 of these one-on-one pitches and talking with entrepreneurs, I can say that perhaps 5% of all these entrepreneurs who ended up in different offices of mine, bankruptcy, business, legal, strategy, only about 5% had an accountant and an attorney that helped them in their businesses. And these are the ones that did not make silly mistakes most of the time. So if you want to gain the competitive advantage in your market, if you want to gain the upper hand, take the time to go find an attorney, to find an accountant who can help you structure your business the right way, who can help you make decisions with confidence, who you can rely on to give you the right strategic guidance at the right time so that you're not making any foolish, any silly decisions that can have major consequences later on. Okay? So hopefully that gives you a little bit to think about as well in terms of business formation, whether you're in the right structure, whether you've correctly filed all the documentation, whether your databases are secure, and whether you know what you're doing in terms of legal and financial consequences that you enter yourself into when you get into a contract. All right, let's talk about another segment. Let's talk about your website and marketing compliance. So Here's a question. Did you customize the terms, the conditions, and the privacy policies on your website to ensure they are 100% ironclad? Most business owners use boilerplate templates that either are provided by the domain company, provided by the different softwares you might be using, or perhaps that you found online. Now, although most of them are pretty good, I'm sure there's specific aspects of your business that are unique to you, that are customizable only to your business, that impact your business in a way that doesn't impact somebody else's business. Does that make sense? So think about the special conditions, the unique terms, the way you've set up your business, the things that you're using, right? The kind of clients you deal with. What are some of the risks that can come about from your business? How do you predict them? And how do you mitigate them, right? And how do you capture all this on your website so that a client who goes on there sues you later on, and from your side you're well protected and secure. So excuse me, let's jump back here. Did you customize the terms, conditions, disclaimers, and privacy policies to ensure they are ironclad? Do you have the right disclaimers in place on your website? Are your marketing assets, your creatives, your advertising campaigns compliant with any industry-specific rules and regulations, right? Especially when it comes to contest marketing. I notice many people have very standard boilerplate terms and conditions. Now, if you do any kind of contest marketing or gamification, you should know that there are very specific rules about how you can advertise, how you can give out, and also where you can advertise, right? People who live and reside in specific states are, in some cases, barred from entering into specific contests. Do you know which states those are? Do you have those terms and conditions listed on your website, right? Are you in compliance with these particular contest and viral gamification based regulations and rules and advertising that you do? Make sure you're in compliance with that. Here's another question. Are your marketing efforts 100% ethical from all sides? Are the pictures, the images, the content, the videos that you use on your website original? Are they infringing somebody else's intellectual property rights? Are they protected from copycats and competitors? If so, how? Okay, so these are the questions I want you to ask yourself when it comes to website and marketing compliance. Let's dive into contracts and agreements. Okay, so what I'm going to do is describe this particular section in two parts. I think it might make more sense for you. And if you're taking down notes, by the way, I forgot to mention this. If you have any more questions, if I'm going too fast for you, if you'd like to receive a copy of the template on the content that I've created, which I'm reading off, then feel free to just send me a quick email or go on to Facebook or LinkedIn like I suggested and send me a quick message there, right? Entrepreneur Empowered. Look us up, add it, and ask me a direct question. I can help you address it in more detail, or somebody else in the group can. If you'd like to get in touch with me directly and ask me some of these questions as I'm walking through them, LinkedIn's perhaps the best place. You can even send me a direct message if you'd like via our email, californialawservices@gmail.com. That's the name of my law firm, California Law Services. We've even created, just for the show, for people to be able to ask questions, an email address, entrepreneurempaweredshow@gmail.com. which I've had about 3 people ask questions in already. And I'm going to get to those questions in just a moment, as soon as I finish this checklist. The first question relates to Facebook marketing. Second question relates to trademarks. And the last question here, I see this relates, it looks like it relates to products and services and how do you monetize them more effectively. Okay, well, thanks for those questions. I'll dive into it. Let's dig back here again. Okay, so contracts and agreements. There's 2 sides of the equation. The first one is contracts and agreements internally, that is within the organization. The second one is externally, from outside the organization. Well, let's talk about internally. Internally, there are a variety of contracts and agreements that you need to have in place, starting from among partners. So if you have a partner, or even if you're a sole proprietor, then you need to have the foundational setup. You need a government compliance, something that you file with the government, Secretary of State. Then you have, okay, so one is an official filing with the government. Second one is a contract or agreement among partners. Then you have a contract or agreement that talks about the internal regulatory affairs of the company, the internal management, the internal rights and privileges. What happens if you wind up, right? Who owns the assets? How much capital has been contributed into the company? How do you split equity among co-founders? Is it 50-50%? Or is it based on some other calculation, right? These are the questions that entrepreneurs have to ask themselves from an inside or internal point of view in terms of regulating the company. Okay, so do you have the right contracts in place? Let's talk about external as well. So externally, there's a few different parties who can impact bottom line. And from a legal standpoint, the contracts and the agreements that you enter into can be with your clients, they can be with customers, they can be with vendors, they can be with suppliers, they can be with marketers, coaches, strategists, technology companies, investors, third-party assessment centers, your attorney, your accountant, right? Or with some other party, a joint venture deal that you enter into, a strategic alliance that you enter into. So these are all the different areas that are regulated by contracts and agreements, and it's important for you to understand exactly what should be contained in there, what are the conflicts and the risks associated in these contracts, how do you predict those risks ahead of time, how do you mitigate some of those factors ahead of time, right? And in the event the S hits the fan, right, where let's say you get into a lawsuit, then what clauses and conditions and terms do you have in place that can help you absolutely minimize the potential losses from these lawsuits, right? So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about some of these. Do you have the right client service agreements or contracts in place? Do you have the right employee or independent contractor contracts in place? If you work with interns, do you have the right intern agreements and compliance contracts in place? If you rent a commercial premises, are your commercial lease and rental agreements foolproof? What are the different options available for you to reduce some of the risks associated? Do you have the right investor contracts and terms in place if you're considering raising capital, right? Do you even know what are the different requirements that you have? What about the right technology-related security the contracts that you enter into, whether it's the domain hosting company or your marketing automation company or some other technology that you use, are you sure that your assets are protected, that any potential risks are absolutely mitigated ahead of time? So these are the things I want you to think about when it comes to contracts, when it comes to agreements. Missing a term, missing conditions, missing clauses and disclaimers, even if it's a small one or a decision that you think may be a minor decision, I can assure you that by operating a bankruptcy practice for 12 years, we have seen the smallest of mistakes or the smallest omissions have severe, major consequences. In fact, just the other day, in my business law practice, I had a gentleman who gave away half his company to a partner because he felt that was the right thing to do. Well, this was 3 years ago when he started it. Now that company is worth, over $10 million. It's a software in a few years. And now he feels that he may have given away too much equity. And in fact, he has, because in the last 3 years since the company was founded, the second co-founder has not been involved in any way, shape, or form. So although initially they came together with the joint purpose of starting and establishing a company, in 4 years, the first partner is the one who built it from the ground up, virtually 99.9%. Now, is it still fair that the equity should be split 50-50 among these co-founders? Now, the other person, the other co-founder, is obviously not happy to reduce his portion of the equity. And so when a discussion regarding this came up, there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of unhappy words exchange, right? And so this is a classic mistake that many entrepreneurs commit, especially when they're about to get into partnerships and they don't take the time to draw out or draw together a table of that describes the equity, how the equity should be split based on value, based on contribution, based on what you bring to the table, rather than having an arbitrary 50-50 split because partners think that's the right thing to do. When you get into the swing of a business, when you're setting up a company, it's people are excited. The emotions are high. People just want to get things going, right? You may have just quit your job and time's of the essence now. But making silly mistakes like this, what I just described, giving away 50% of your company because they felt that was the right thing to do. That's how partnerships are set up. Has now cost this gentleman millions of dollars. A simple thing like that, right? Which he could have easily avoided if he took the time in the first place to get the proper advice, to take the time to go through these contracts, to figure out the equity split, to get the both partners to sit down and negotiate on the table with 100% transparency whether or not it should be a 50-50 or a 60-40 or a 70-30 split or something else, right? So take the time, drop these matters, really evaluate what each person brings to the table before concluding somebody gets 50% or some other arbitrary number. Okay, so if you're going to take the time and the effort to start a business, you should be serious about protecting it and drawing it up the right way from the start. All right, let's talk about working with third parties. Okay, and we have roughly about 10 minutes. I have 3 topics, the last 3 topics I want to get you through so that you have, at the end of this hour, not only a vision of what we're trying to build with Entrepreneur Empowered, the community, where you have direct access, but also I've given you a 9-point legal and business assessment. Something that I would, it could change the way you operate your business. So let's talk about working with third parties. Here's a bunch of questions that you need to consider for yourself. Are your contracts with your marketing gurus or your marketing agency that you're dealing with, are they secure? Do they take into account intellectual property, your assets, your marketing secrets? Does it take into account the risks that come with it? And have clauses that mitigate the potential losses from these, right? Who owns the different accounts that these marketers are setting up? Oftentimes I see marketers who set up these accounts, who set up a client account in their own account, whether it's on Facebook or Google, without giving the client access. Now, to me, there's something fundamentally wrong in this process, where if you as a business owner, you are paying a marketer, right, to do the advertising, they're being compensated, and they're building an account or profile for you, there's absolutely no reason why it should be in their account. Those assets belong to you. It's for your business, right? You should be the administrator of those accounts, and you should have the ultimate say in what gets deployed or what doesn't get deployed. In the event that the marketing agency or the guru you're working with now, let's say the contract, you quit the contract, you cancel the contract, you fire them or they fire you or whatever the case is, what happens to those assets? Do you still have access to that account? Do you have access to the marketing assets that are built for you? Do you have access to the actual advertising that have been deployed, right? And the reports that come with it? Can you continue to use those afterwards? These are the questions you want to ask yourself. These are the questions you want to ask the marketer that you're dealing with, so that you can protect yourself. You can be educated on what your rights are. You can be informed about what is yours and what's not yours. And you can be conscious about making the right moves as a savvy business owner. Okay, so that's what being conscious, being informed is about. Asking the right questions to the right parties at the right time. So all three of those have to be in place. The right questions to the right person at the right time. Okay, so with that said, let's jump back in here and address these questions. So, are your contracts with the marketing companies, gurus, or agencies secure from all sides? What are your rights and options when it comes to dealing with different agencies, marketers, partners, or even affiliates? What I mean by that is, if you were to go seek a competitive marketer, if you were to go get an opinion from someone, how would your marketer react? Right? That's something you want to ask yourself. That's something you want to ask them. Help you evaluate whether they're the right fit for you or not. Are your marketers, the people you're dealing with, are they onboarding your direct competitors? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Are they using the information that they've gained by working with you to go market it to your direct competitors? Okay? So think about that. It happens quite a lot in the marketplace. And the person that you're working with, if let's say you're their first client, which happens quite a bit in a particular niche, all of a sudden everything that they've gained, that you've helped them gain, is going to be used against you, where you have just bred a competitor. Excuse me. So these are the questions you want to consider and ask not only yourself but the company you're dealing with. What are you losing bargaining power because your contracts are full of holes, right? What about the scope of representation and expectations? Are they clearly defined? If you're paying your marketing agency, are there a set of KPIs that they have promised you? Are they a set of benchmarks that you're going to establish that they can report on? What are your options, do you know? Okay, so that's a very important segment. All right, last two. We're almost done, just hang on. Protecting your brand. Here are some questions I want you to ask yourself. Do you know what your options are if somebody else is copying your work, copying your ideas, or fabricating stories about you, or even stealing and producing your goods and services and selling them somewhere else for a fraction of the cost? Again, it happens a lot in this digitized marketplace that we all compete in. Products and services being copied, being duplicated, being sold without your permission. How do you prevent that? Right? What would you do if you discover your hard work is actually being duplicated by copycats and distributed over the internet for a fraction of the cost? How would you stop them? Right? What are the lost profits associated with that? Are your intellectual property rights safe from infringement? These are the things you want to ask yourself, right? Are you equipped with the right tools, the right strategies, and perhaps the right connections that can help you shut down these infringers, these people who are stealing your ideas? All right? And here we go. Last set of questions I want you to ask yourself before I give you a quick recap, and that will conclude today's show. This relates to business expansion and joint ventures. Are you looking to expand your business via social media or automated selling systems? If so, do you have the right information from the right individuals to make decisions with confidence? Do you have the right risk mitigation clauses and strategies in place as you enter joint venture contracts, as you start dealing with investors, as you merge with somebody else, right? It's essential to know what your rights are, what the value of your business is, and how do you protect all these when you enter into contracts with third parties, even investors, right? How do you protect your equity, the things that you have built? Excuse me. Do you have sufficient bargaining power to ensure that you're not losing your equity, your capital, you're diluting your intellectual property, or losing your trade secrets? So these are the things I want you to ask, and that kind of concludes the list of questions that I've prepared for today's show. Once again, as I mentioned, the questions that I've described to you, that I've dug into detail, are actual questions that we have encountered, that we have been asked by entrepreneurs like you over the last 12 plus years, over and over again. And I pointed these out because these are absolutely critical for you to understand, for you to learn, and for you to get informed about so you can make decisions with precision. So once again, this is Entrepreneur Empowered, a show that is about connecting you with the right information, the right tools, the right strategies, the right knowledge, and even the right connections, direct access to all these things so that you can make the informed, conscious decisions that you need to make in your business. Together, we're going to accomplish these things together. We've already started compiling practical strategies, templates, and checklists that you can use. Just go ahead and log in to Facebook, join the group Entrepreneur Empowered. Log into Facebook, join the group Entrepreneur Empowered, or go ahead and look it up on WhatsApp, Entrepreneur Empowered, and we'll make sure that you have direct access to whatever you need, to the real solutions that you desire in your business. This is your host, Sid Pedinti, the Entrepreneur's Attorney. I hope to hear from you and see you on the other side. If you have any questions that you want me to walk through for the next show, please go ahead and submit it online. Do the research, get together hard facts, and give you the solutions in real time. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.